Hello and welcome back. We are so sorry for the technical difficulties previously. So we have had news that we are remaining in the NUS. So we're just going to discuss now a bit about the NUS. What do you think about the NUS, Rebecca?
Well, the NUS stands for the National Union of Students, and it's an awesome organization that helps protect students, their rights. It covers a lot of subjects. So I think that us remaining is actually really beneficial for us because they can continue to do the amazing work they do anyways.
Yeah, and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of students when I say that a lot of us didn't actually know what the NUS did for us. And so when it came to voting, people may not have known what they were actually voting for if they voted to leave. But we do think that the NUS may benefit us, may not.
Especially since when they put the option for us to vote for the NUS, it hasn't been advertised. It was just on the Kent Union website. It was put towards the end. I only discovered about it last night when I was voting for the candidates.
Me too.
But hopefully us choosing to remain will help us at uni.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. And now Amitesh and Emily are going to tell you a bit more information about the NUS.
Right, so thank you so much for joining me, Emily. You, of course, are on the winning campaign for the NUS referendum. How does it feel to win?
Really good. I mean, I'm kind of counting this as my third win in an election now. So, yeah, really good. I think that myself and Laura had a really great time campaigning this year again. So it's good to see a result.
The debates, the NUS debate was not a tame one in some sense. Shots were fired, and it became kind of like the presidential debate where people actually talked to each other and kind of had a stance and were debating. Do you think this kind of discourse in general is kind of is it something that's more needed to kind of have these kind of a bit more entertaining and a bit more kind of like a bit more sensational debates in general?
Yeah, definitely. I think it always helps with engagement. I think that it helps people determine their stance, and I think it kind of gives more of a narration to the whole referendum. I think if you've just got a flat kind of referendum and with a predictable result, people are going to tune out to it. So I think the fact that people were questioning why we should leave, why we should remain, and actually picking sides, I think that kind of made it more fun. But yeah.
Right. So what do students actually get from remaining in the NUS?
So I think a big part is the fact that now our officers are still, as they were before, able to engage in NUS. So things like annual conferences, liberation conferences, we can still go to that and champion the voice of Kent students. And Kent students can still put themselves forward and benefit from the work that NUS does.
Right. So that was the NUS result. Interestingly, I would just like your opinion on the exit poll. So the exit poll suggests that we leave 54% to 45. Why do you think? Why do you think the exit poll was this way? And B, why in general kind of this whole idea of, okay, well, on one hand, students were being asked whether they'd like to leave or remain, but on the other hand, of course, we decided to remain. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think law of probability, if you have two options, it's most likely going to be 50-50. I'm not going to lie, I did think that it would look a little bit more like this, the actual results. So I was a little bit shocked when it was 75-25 roughly. But I think that I mean, a lot of students came out to vote this year, so a lot of students actually chose to vote in the referendum alongside the leadership elections. So I think hosting it at the same time was a really good idea and actually engaged a lot more students than we would have if we just held it at another point in the year.
This might sound like a bit echoey towards Brexit, but do you think in the upcoming, like in the near future, do you think there'll be another referendum?
I think it can always be on the table because I think as we are a democratic organisation, the students should always have a voice on who we're affiliated to. So I would never take it off the table, and if it's what students want, then they'll come out and vote for it.
Right. Thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations once more on your third win in Student Union. To the win it is, and now we'd like to go back to Rebecca and Rachel in the studio. Back to you.
How do you feel about that result, Rebecca?
I think it's good, especially after just hearing what Emily Wendell had to say, and she just expressed more of the benefits to us, I think we're on the right path. I like that she says like the law of probability.
Yeah.
It was quite tight.
Yeah.
Did you think we're gonna remain or leave? What did you think the students were gonna vote for?
I personally thought that it would be Remain, purely because I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that we didn't exactly know what it was.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know what something is, you just click to Remain because you don't want to like mix things up. And I didn't see a problem with what we were a part of, so I didn't see why we should leave. I think that's what a lot of people would see as a student.
It's safer to stay in something
Yeah.
that probably does a lot for you, even though you don't know what it is.
yeah.
Because if you wake up and you decided to leave, and all of a sudden all sort of benefits that you had, and all of a sudden they're gone. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
what do I do now? So it is quite bad, the fact that as students we had no idea that we had such a union
I know.
for us.
I know. I think also what's quite surprising is that the exit poll was so wrong, because I've heard that the exit polls are normally quite correct about the leadership elections.
Yeah, they usually
And
predict who
It was
the winners
so
are.
wrong. It wasn't just wrong with who was winning, it was the percentages were so different.
They were very drastic because the
Yeah.
percentages on the exit poll was in the 50s, whereas actually in the wins was 75%, 25%.
Which is a massive difference.
It's a quarter and a 3/4 compared to a half, so that's just staggering.
I know.
But
Just-
ultimately, we have a result now, so it doesn't really matter.
Exactly, and we can now see what the rest of the leadership elections bring when we find out more of the results. But for now, we're going back to Amitesh, who's going to speak you through the other exit poll predictions.
Right, and we are back, and this time you might notice it's not Emily Window anymore, it is Josh West, website opinions editor for Inquire. Thank you so much for joining me, Josh.
That's all right. Pleasure to be here.
Right, so we have our exit poll results right here, and boy, they are something. Let's just start with welfare and community. So Aisha has got 44.8%, followed by Ming at 22, and then Abdullah at 15.5, and then Ron. What do you think? Is it good that we might have Aisha as our welfare and community VP?
I think so, yeah. I mean, her manifesto was certainly, well, all their manifestos were actually really promising, but definitely if you looked at her when she was in the debate last week, she definitely came across the stronger candidate, you know, the one that was headstrong and very, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm going to do. So I think yeah, it should be, it seems promising, yeah.
Right, moving on to postgraduate. Now, Patrick, he was the only running candidate, is fair, 75%. A surprising amount of Ron in there.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Well, I heard on the grapevine through speaking with other postgraduates that postgrad researchers, despite what he was promising for them, did not like the fact that a postgrad talk was going to be their representative. So I know that from a lot of them, there was sayings that they were going to Ron him, and whilst I wasn't expecting something that massive. I mean, 24.6. It's still quite significant, especially if he's the only candidate there.
Right. That is something that Laura Carlin mentioned as well, and one of the reasons for why she isn't going to run her, because she thinks that a PGT might be, a PGR, PGR might be able to, fill the role better. So is that perhaps echoing of the reason?
I don't know. I can't really say, but I know that it would be so much harder for a PGR to be. If they're still staying as a PGR and also doing this at the same time, it's so hard because they have so many commitments. They teach, they do stuff as well like that. But I think it would be nice, especially after 2 years of PG talk, to have a postgraduate research.
Right. Let's move on to student experience. The big one, the one with 7 other people running. Megan Warwick has managed to get the vote at 33%, followed by a close Aldo Manella at 25.3. What did you think of it?
It was, I think, as I expected. I said an opinion before. I think definitely Aldo and Megan, purely for the fact of the followings that they have. I mean, Aldo has a huge following on social media, and Megan.
Sorry guys, we're just
Right, I believe we do have a result.
986 votes. We had 640 votes, and Mohammed had 529 votes. As no one reached the quota in round 2, we say goodbye to Mohammed and move on into the next round. In round 3, the quota is 936 votes. Aisha has 1,109 votes and Neil has 763 votes, meaning that Aisha is a new VP welfare! Aisha will come and collect your t-shirts.
Hi, we've just had news about VP Welfare and Community. Aisha has won.
This is our first winner of the election tonight that has been announced. And that's good. Like, there were 3 candidates for welfare.
Yeah.
And Aisha had a strong debate.
Yeah, she had very strong manifesto points, and she also had a very modern way of promoting herself. I noticed she even made a TikTok video, which is very modern.
That was really nice. It was playful, it was fun. It was something that would reach a lot of students.
Yeah.
She used social media, which was brilliant. I like some of her points. Some of her points were like actually setting up nap rooms in the library permanently, which, you know,
Yeah.
especially during deadline season, there are a lot of...
Something you definitely need.
There's
Now
a lot of
Amitesh
people
is
there.
going to speak more about why Aisha has won this election.
Right. So sorry, viewers, for our technical difficulties, but we did get a result in, and I'd like to congratulate Inquire for getting 1 of the 5 right. I think that's made up for the NUS referendum exit poll. Right. So we were just talking about Aisha being one of the strongest candidates, and she has won. Tots?
As I expected. You know, I think both her and Ming were really strong in the debate, and I do think that Muhammad let himself down by not turning up, you know, for whatever reason, to the debate. And definitely, as was said before, Aisha, she had so much of a push with her, you know, the TikTok video, social media. She was also, you know, there were posters of her all over campus. So, yeah, and I think, like I say, with her manifesto, and definitely if she's as determined in the role as she was in the campaign, it should be looking good for welfare.
Right, so that is 1 up. We were, of course, talking about student experience, and we did mention how the main contest, or at least according to us, would be between Meg and Aldo. So, of course, Aldo, Templeman memes, Meg Warwick, one of the most... One of the most recognizable
faces on campus.
Pretty much
everywhere.
Pretty much. I think there's a giant. I think there's a portrait of her in Keynes.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, she was Keynes president.
Yes.
What I mean,
Yeah.
you know, 2 people who are so engaged in the student experience. One is, of course, more than the other, because one is more actually kind of into nitty-gritties and getting involved and things like that. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think Aldo is engaged with students, but just in a different way. You know, he sees his Templeman memes page as a way for students to talk about university matters, so that the university then see it as a more of a maths thing. But definitely, no, Meg. I think she's been in every society you can think of. I mean, I also want to talk about, you know, some of the other candidates on Mel. I mean, that, you know, like Shia got, you know, less than Ron. Is quite telling, because of course she was the Medway candidate. So she, and you know, I think I only saw her on the Canterbury campus today. So I know she was trying to mobilise a lot of the Medway vote, but I think Medway came quite late into elections. So I think she maybe have lost herself a couple of votes there. But yeah, and certainly all the others were, you know, roughly where you could expect them to be. But no, definitely Shia was quite a shock.
So talking about talking about this in like just a final thing on student experience, do you think that the debates were a bit of I think the sheer amount of people perhaps, because of course that might cut into everybody's speaking time, so that might become a potential problem as well. Do you think that was a disadvantage to every candidate?
It definitely was. I mean, the fact that they only had like less than 1 minute to give their opening statements, and then one question had to go around 7 people.
Right. We have just received news, and we will now go back to Rachel and Rebecca. Back to you guys.
Hi, thank you so much, Amitesh. Now we're going to go and skip to a advertisement of the Intangible trailer before we interview Aisha on her win.
Walking down the street where people meet, saying hi and goodbye and sharing subtle.
I'm an excellent student. You spilled your coffee on my CV.
Oh,
but this is
nothing.
You should have a look at it, please. I'm looking. Why didn't you put it in my bag?
So
you're like a dancer then? Yeah, long story.
Live in a fantasy, okay? It's all about true love and unicorns and pink skies.
Make it pretty tiny.
Rocka says that life is like a dream. I believe that you can change to some extent.
Hello and welcome back. And we've now got Aisha here. Congratulations, Aisha.
so much. So we're now joined by the official VP for Welfare. How does that feel, getting the title you worked so hard to get?
When you say it out loud, it just doesn't feel real.
Aww.
But finally I can actually relax, but we've still got a whole year to go, so we'll see how it goes.
No, but congratulations, you were one of the stronger candidates and it's now just paying off.
Yeah, and the exit polls suggested that you would be the winner. Did you know about the exit polls before you went downstairs, or was it a total surprise to you?
It was a complete surprise. I was going to look at it beforehand, but I thought if I looked at it, I'd stress out, so I just didn't want to look.
I mean, that's a fair approach. That's a fair approach.
I don't know
Element
if
of
it's the
surprise.
best- Well, yeah, I don't know if it's the best idea, but
But how did you feel? How did you feel of your performance so far? Like, obviously, you did amazing because you're the winner.
Campaigning was actually pretty good. I'm surprised I actually went out and did it because it's been a really hard week for everyone, and I'm so proud of everyone who got out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And how did it feel when you heard your name said over the speakers?
And you had to get up at venue, you had the balloons and everything.
I had absolutely no idea what to do. So if you watch it, you'll see how awkward I am on stage trying to find how the t-shirt actually goes.
Oh, is that the t-shirt you've got there?
It's the t-shirt.
Oh, let's have a look.
It's a beautiful neon green.
Oh,
I condone
look at that.
It
Vice
looks like
President.
the perfect thing to wear to bed, if I'm honest.
You'll be wearing that a lot for the next year, your new
Most of the
title.
promotional t-shirts from uni are nice PJ
Yeah,
tops.
to be honest.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
a good
them.
colour as
This
well,
is a
quite
nice
bright.
colour compared to other stuff.
Doesn't quite fit the red of my campaign though.
So when do you actually start your role?
In June is what
Oh,
I understand.
wow.
And so hopefully we'll be preparing for the next year, and then
And what do you plan on doing first as you occupy your role?
I'm thinking some of the stuff that I have could take quite a while. So the first
Yeah.
thing I want is nap rooms, just because I think that there was space to already do it, probably in the library. So
We
I'm
were-
really looking forward
We
to
were
it.
talking about that just
We were.
a few minutes before and love that idea. Can't
My
wait for
favourite
it.
of your ideas. I love it.
Sleep is amazing, to be honest.
Because right now they've got the chill out zone, but I've tried napping in there before and been told off.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah,
idea of an
the
actual
same.
nap room, love it.
But also, The Templeman Library is open 24/7 for students, so
Yeah.
it's just the next logical step, and I'm so happy that you took that initiative.
Same. I'm so happy.
I've seen it done elsewhere, in offices as well. They do it at places
Yeah.
like Google, so why not have it here? I want a nap somewhere that isn't just a random desk on the library.
I know, I've fallen asleep in the silent
Oh my,
section
it's
before.
really
The
bad.
library is the next Google.
It is.
with the nap rooms. No, but also, I mean, just congratulations. That's amazing. But for example, student engagement, there's 7 candidates. You only had 2 opposing you. How did that feel if you had more people going up against you compared to?
So, I mean, it was scary enough with the 2 others.
Yeah.
It was really nice to meet them, and just actually meeting them, I was like, oh my gosh, they could win. Just secretly in my head, I was like, oh no. But I don't know how I'd feel about 8 candidates, because I think that maybe it's more pressure if there's only the 3 of you, because at least people have to like one of you. Whereas at least if there's 8, then they have to like someone, surely.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Aisha, so much for
Thank
coming,
you.
and congratulations on your win.
Congratulations,
We are so happy for you. We're going to head back to Amitesh now, who's going to speak you through the other candidates.
Right, that is an amazing result. That's the first result of the night. Of course, Aisha has won as your next VP Welfare and Community. By the way, if you do have any comments, any things of encouragement, you can catch us on our Facebook at Can Television. You can catch us on our YouTube and Twitter, which is just the same as well. Lastly, if you have any other comments for us, just make sure you put them on the YouTube down below. We always monitor our live chats. Your input is very valuable. Lastly, I would also like to, before I go on and talk a bit more about the exit polls, I would also like to mention our website and our new website, www.kentelevision.com, where you can actually watch us go live many times. All of our lives are hosted there. Just go onto the site. You can even pitch your own show. It is absolutely fantastic. Moving on to the exit poll results. So we did have Josh with us talk about student experience, student engagement, and kind of the various amounts of, just the number of candidates that were present there, because that's obviously a disadvantage to the candidates that are present. Everybody's cut time. Everybody's time is cut short, and not everybody might be able to get their point across, as opposed to, like, say, the welfare and community debate or the postgraduate experience interview. Can't call it a debate, but that is kind of one of the slight kind of problems with the student engagement this year. Moving on to academic experience, we've got according to the exit polls, we've got Vicky, who is re-elected by a significant margin, I must say, almost 50%, 45.8% of all our students who voted this year wanted Vicky re-elected, followed by Andrea at 22.7%, followed by Gavin Knight at 18.9%, and finally Ron at 12.6%. Ron is featuring quite a lot in welfare and community, a good 16%, followed by postgraduate experience is a very shocking 25%. That means 1 out of every 4 people, roughly, who voted, according to these exit poll stats at least, that there is a general kind of 1 out of 4 people voted Ron instead of Patrick, which is, I mean, these are just exit polls. We do not know what the actual result will be. Talking about back to academic experience, Vicky's manifesto point was largely based on, sustainability, just like everybody else. I have just got news that Rachel and Rebecca have some more news for you. So back to Rachel and Rebecca.
Hi, so now we're going to actually be speaking to some people from VP Academic Experience. We're going to VTs of the people from Academic Experience.
So here's a clip going now.
The main one I would like to focus on is sustainability, which came up in the student survey. Particularly in terms of food waste, the university produces so much food wastage. I would like to see what can be done about that.
elected, I want to work on embedding sustainability in the curriculum, work on our office hour provisions on campus at Canterbury and also for our commuting students at Medway, and also to better the collaboration between reps, academic societies and schools.
My recipe for a better academic experience would be 200 grams of sustainable curriculum, mixed it with more student engagement, sprinkle with a bit of Medway, and that would be my recipe for a better academic experience.
Hi, so we're going to go back to the live for academic experience to find out who has won VP academic experience.
Andrea Cunley, Gavin Knight and Vicky Salisbury. Good morning. So, we have round 2,308 votes, and the quota is 1,154 votes. Let's see what's happened. Okay, so Andrea got 184 votes. Gavin got 666 votes, and Vicky got 856 votes, and Ron got 193 votes. So, as no one met the quota in the first round, Ron is won. Thank you. Goodbye, Ron. And we move on to round 2. The quota has dropped to 1,088.5 votes. So, let's see how they did. Andrea had 609 votes. Gavin received 689 votes. And Vicky received 869 votes. However, we still have not met quota. We still have not met quota. So, unfortunately, Andrea has been eliminated, and we move on into our final round between Gavin and Vicky with the quota of 951 votes. Gavin received 869 votes, and Vicky received 1,093 votes.
So, Vicky has been re-elected as VP Academic Experience. How do you feel, Rebecca?
I feel like a lot of good stuff will happen. She already was VP for academic experience this year, and she's done an amazing job, and now she's just going to continue the mission that she started.
Yeah, and I think that definitely when somebody goes for a role again, a lot of people can trust the person if they've especially done a good job like she has the last year. You can trust that they'll continue the work that they've done, and being a president for 1 year, you can't really do that much, so she can continue the things she's already started.
It just proves that she's really determined, ambitious. So she set out some points, and now she actually wants to get them done. She was voicing a lot of points about sustainability, which are we're in demand for it, because we, you know, global warming is it's happening, and we need a climate crisis. You know, like we need to have that to say that was this emergency, and so the work she's going to be doing will help tackle that.
Yeah. We've had news just come in that Ron didn't actually get a lot of votes. Ron didn't even get through the first round.
Oh, wow.
And Vicky winning the first round of votes with over 1,000 votes, which is quite a lot of votes considering, you know, that not every university student votes. But yeah, we're going to go to Amitesh now, who's going to speak to you more about the results we've just had.
Right, a bunch of results have just come in, and I am joined with the editor-in-chief of Inquire Media, George Knight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, I'm happy to be here.
Right, so 2 out of 2 on your exit polls. Vicky has won with 45.8 and Ron is 12.6. As we heard right now that Ron didn't get as many votes as, it was eliminated in the first round. So what do you make of that?
I don't think I'm surprised. I think there was a lot of candidates who had some really, really strong points this year. I think it was definitely expected. I think Vicky, obviously being an incumbent, it's a classic trope that they kind of always kind of get back into office. So, and I think there's probably a lot of people that voted for Vicky this year that had seen the work she's done, and I think they were really impressed. And therefore, I'm not surprised that Ron wasn't able to make a simple dent in this one at all.
Right. She's the only returning officer for this time. Everybody else on the list is pretty new. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's surprising, obviously, to see so little, but obviously because of the nature of how the team's gone this year, it is only the case that only one incumbent is left. That obviously means new blood has to come in, and I think it's obviously really good that we've already got our first new sabbatical officer, and I think it's really impressive that obviously we've got one who's been able to come through, bring a bit of old Kent Union also with the new Kent Union that's going to be born in the light of this election. So.
Right. So let's move on, continuing discussing about the exit polls. You seem to be going right all the time, so I think this is pretty reflective. Let's talk about the presidential ones. We have Ethan winning by just 34%, followed by Josh at 27%, followed by Daniel at 16%. I'd just like to talk a bit about Daniel. 16% of the vote went to him, and he is a joke candidate. What do you make of that?
Well, even though he's a joke candidate, there were definitely moments, if you did watch the debate, that he did take some things quite seriously, and he actually did some pretty good points. There were moments when he would criticize points and make some pretty valid comments on various bits and bobs. I think that clearly, the results have shown that people do still want ultimately to vote for someone who has their views in mind. So obviously Ethan very much from that practical side, Josh very much is bringing in the popular vote of things, and then obviously Daniel's bringing in kind of the joke. It kind of shows there's a mixed audience, but I still think it shows there's a direction towards getting it right.
There is a bit of a joke scenario going on in general, but I have realized that we have just got news back. So Rachel and Rebecca, you are up.
Thank you so much, Amitesh. And now we are going to skip to a trailer of The Finding film, which is coming out for the KTV Film Festival very soon. So here is The Finding trailer.
Enjoy, guys.
Many people get lost. Sometimes they can't find their way back to where they parked their car. In other cases, they might find that they have lost something deeper. Most of the time, you find your way back eventually. Sometimes, the paths you walked on shift, and you find yourself returning to a world that is no longer quite the one you left. And so it wandered nameless and aimless through the forests and hills, sometimes chancing on the creatures and people that wandered there.
Hello and welcome back.
Congratulations, Vicky.
Thank you very much.
How did you feel becoming the VP for academic experience second time?
I'm really excited, but at the same time, I feel there's a lot of pressure going forward into the next year. But I'm going to try not to think about that. I'm going to try and relax, and I'm going to try
celebrate.
And celebrate. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
your moment to celebrate and enjoy your achievements. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How does it compare winning this year compared to last year?
I was definitely more nervous this year.
Really?
More nervous.
I think it's because I had a job to lose, I guess.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
And the pressure of having to be re-elected
Yeah.
and somebody else stealing your role,
Yeah.
so to say.
Especially as the way elections took place and the way we had to write our manifestos completely changed this year. I really felt like I just didn't know what to expect, but I'm very, very glad.
But because you're the only candidate which had previous experience, did you feel that experience helped you much more candidating this year?
I think it probably did a little bit. I think I probably knew what I did wrong last year and what to correct for this year.
What did you think you did wrong?
I definitely don't think I did enough going out and talking to people. I went to a lot of common rooms this year and did a bit of door knocking, and I don't think I did enough of that last year. But getting out and doing those one-to-one interactions really helped me, I think.
And are you excited to start again this year, a whole new year, and to do more things?
Yeah, I think I'm really excited because I'll have 4 new officers with me.
Yeah.
So
that'll be really interesting. How do you feel about that?
I feel like a bit of a mum, if I'm honest. I feel like I'm going to be the one that sits there and goes, no, you can't do that. And no, go do that. You're doing really well. But we'll see how it goes. I think dynamics can be very interesting. Obviously, only Aisha's been announced in a minute, so it's sort of, I feel more nervous for the rest of them.
Oh, bless. But now, because you've won a second time, the approach you're going to take, do you think, with the points that you had in your manifesto, do you think you're going to radicalize your position this year and do, I don't know, have more a drastic approach, or keep it at the same pace you had it last year at? Which was a brilliant pace.
Yeah, very brilliant pace.
I think that the manifesto points that I ran on this year were things that I think are going to change the university quite a bit more. I think last year I sort of went for quite a soft approach, but this year there are actually things that are going to have to take real change and are going to have to take me doing a lot more than just sort of jumping on things that had already happened. Like, they're quite new ideas, I think, so sort of hoping
you really are trying to like tackle the nitty-gritty this year.
Yeah.
And what exactly is the first thing you think you're going to do this year?
I mean, I think the first thing that's going to have to happen is to rearrange our rep structure, which is a huge piece of work that's probably going to have to happen over the summer, ready for elections.
Yeah.
So that doesn't give us a lot of time, but I'm hoping I've already put in some groundwork for it. But yeah, I think that's going to be the first thing, and trying to get them settled in with like the academic societies and the schools in that first term. So I think that's going to be the first big thing that I do anyway.
A lot of admin work for that.
Probably, yes, unfortunately, and a lot of getting out and
you have
talking to
4
students.
officers now. So
Exactly.
the workload,
exactly.
you know, is now evenly distributed.
And you have experience.
True.
So you'll be able to use last year's mistakes, that whatever you think you did wrong, to benefit and to be better and to continue the role.
You have the power of hindsight.
Amazing, yeah, something that the other candidates won't necessarily have had.
And hopefully something I can bestow upon them, because I know that the 3 incumbents from last year were really helpful, so hopefully I can be as helpful to the new officers.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for
you
joining
for
us,
having
and
me.
congratulations.
Thank you so much, girls.
Go celebrate now.
Exactly, have a fun night. And we're going to cut back to Amitesh, who's going to talk a bit more about the other candidates.
Right, and that is another result for this night. Academic experience. Vicky has been re-elected, which brings a whole load of old experience, into this new, almost kind of refurbished Kent Union that we are going to see. We were talking a bit about the presidential exit polls right here, moving back. And it's very interesting, the conversation with George, because we went, we kind of picked out on the joke elements that there were. There's somebody who's running as a joke candidate here, and there's also Templeman memes, which I wouldn't say is a joke candidate. I didn't mean it in that sense, but you know, there is a lot of kind of popularity, a whole lot of different approach for this time's election. I don't think we've ever had, you know, like a really somebody who's advocating for example, free beer on campus. I think the fact that, you know, they've received 16% of the vote is quite a big thing. But then, of course, Eton took the vote, at least according to the exit polls. We've got 2 for 2, so who knows? Is this the accurate prediction? We don't know as of now. But we were talking about Eton and how, despite him being particularly quiet in the candidate debates, he did kind of shine through, at least according to this. But the competition was pretty tight, with Josh as well, you know, gaining a significant percentage of the vote. Arish and Sarah, you know, seem to be relegated according to these exit poll predictions. You know, as we can see, Sarah is at 6.6% and Arish is at 7.1% according to this. You know, Sarah, of course, being a first-year student, that might kind of have worked against her. and Arish's performance on some of the questions. You know, there were a bunch of problematic statements that he did make. For example, his comments with the NUS and how on one hand he said that, okay, the NUS is not useful in the sense that we want to leave, but on the other hand, working with the NUS to get the post-study work visa that now we will obviously remain in, which kind of begs the question, because most of them said that they would like to leave the NUS, and now we remain. So will there be another referendum? Will there not? Time would have to tell for that. But as we can see, Ron stays pretty low on this. It's 7.9%. Daniel taking 16.3%, Josh taking 27.4%, and Ethan taking 34.7%. A lot can be said about these exit polls, but the fact that a serious candidate does manage at the end of the day to get the win is particularly useful and particularly significant. It goes on to show that, okay, right, maybe people, still value Kent Union as a organization, and just don't want anybody to be in there. Maybe the funniest one to be in there, but I still think that Josh and Ethan will be the contenders to watch out for, at least according to these polls in general. Welfare and community, as we saw, was pretty similar. So was academic experience. Vicky went through both rounds and managed to win. I'm most interested in the postgraduate experience one. So that would be something that's particularly interesting to see. Will Patrick lose to Ron? I don't know. We might find out. And now moving on to Rebecca and Rachel. Back to you.
So thank you so much, Amitesh. What are your thoughts on Patrick Stillman becoming VP Postgraduate Experience?
I think he had quite a decent standard manifesto with, points that will work to help the postgraduate experience. So everything he's saying is up to par, is great. Now it's all a matter of him actually being able to do all the things he suggested. It's interesting that in the exit poll, though, the Ron percentage is quite high. I mean, he is the only candidate.
Yeah, and Ron, for those of you who don't know, means re-elect another officer. But now we're going to go back to venue and see what's actually happening and to see who has been elected VP Postgraduate Experience.
It's exciting.
Look after postgrad, making sure that part of the community and make sure they represent here at Kent. So, we have one candidate this year, Patrick Stillman. This year, don't forget, there's always wrong. So in round one, we had 2,159 votes for Patrick to beat Ron or Ron to beat Patrick. Even though he would have to meet the quota of 1,079.5 votes. So let's see what happened in round one. Patrick got 1,876 votes. Ron Lane got 283 votes, which means Patrick Stillman is your VP Postgraduate Experience.
So we've just found out that Patrick has indeed won, which isn't really a surprise considering that he was the only candidate running. What do you think?
I think I would have been shocked if Ron would have won.
Exactly.
I mean, that would have made for an interesting re-election.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can mess up that badly. I mean, he had a good manifesto. It talked about inclusivity for postgraduate experience. He has some plans going forward.
Exactly.
And even his name, his slogan, Postgrad
Pat. Like
So
Postman Pat.
So which is really sweet, and it suggests that he is trying to go to every
Yeah.
other postgraduate student. And one good thing he said was for most postgraduates who work as seminar leaders, he is trying to, especially with the strikes happening, he is trying to get higher pay and more time to prepare for them, which is a good job. It's just sad that he's not here to celebrate his win.
Yeah, he's not here. So we've just had news of his manifesto points. His main one was postgraduates getting the support they deserve from the union, and just knowing where they can get that support in order to find jobs and in order to be a postgrad. So yeah, he had very strong manifesto points, but it is a shame that he's not here actually tonight to speak about that and to actually celebrate his win.
Especially the point that made his main point, which is really good. It's really good timing considering what is happening now with just teachers in general, lecturers here. So if we can be able to resolve that for the lecturers, and I think Pat will be able to do that at the same time for postgraduate students. But it is a bit peculiar. I mean, he had no other candidates going against him. It is kind of an assured win at that point.
Yeah, I think if Ron had won, it would have been very unprecedented and it would have been a big shock to a lot of people. I think if you are Rond, you have to have a big reason why you are Rond. You'd have to either be a joke candidate or be very disliked to be Rond.
Exactly.
So I think it's not really a shock that he's won, but it is still an accomplishment in itself that he is the new VP postgraduate experience.
I mean, all the best to him. It's a bit disappointing he's not here. He's not with his other fellow officers to enjoy venue.
And to celebrate their elections tonight. But do we think that he will be able to do these points that he's put in his manifesto to actually make them come alive? What do you think?
I think so. I think if he is he was very determined as a student, when you wanted to vote for him, he made it extremely clear that even though he is going unopposed, he is trying to still prove to us why he merits the win. Yeah. Which, that is quite a confident thing to do, and it is quite an admirable thing to state.
Yeah.
That you still want to prove to yourself, but to your fellow students as well, especially the postgraduate students, that he is a worthy contender regardless.
So now we're going to hop over to Amitesh, who is going to tell us a bit more about the results and a bit more about Pat being elected as VP Postgraduate Experience.
Right, that is another win for Inquire. Firstly, with welfare and community, academic experience, and postgrad now in their bag. Inquire do an amazing job. You can check out their website, www.inquiremedia.co.uk, if you want to follow their live blog as well, along with our live stream. But yes, that is yet another successful win for the candidate. Patrick Stillman wins. Of course, he isn't here, which is of course a bit problematic. We don't get to see his winning result, his winning interview. But I mean, I'm sure he'll do an absolutely amazing job in his role. The people wanted him, and the people did get him. Talking about the general kind of results that are coming through, we can notice that Ron has not been a strong contender in this postgraduate experience, at least. Over here it says that Ron would be 24.6%, which is a big percentage of the vote. But Ron apparently got only 283 votes in terms of Patrick, the postgraduate experience, which kind of makes this 1 out of 4, 25% stat a bit problematic. But I mean, of course, that's the thing about exit polls. It's a sample. It's a sample of people. It might not always be representative, but the general trend is still noticeable. Something that we have to commend Inquire for. They did an absolutely amazing job at getting exit polls ready and making sure that they are wonderfully represented in our in our live broadcast. As I said, you can go and check out their live blog, and over the next few weeks you will be able to see Inquire's analysis of the results night as well. But talking about the two roles that are remaining, the precedent role and VP student engagement, both of them are the big ones, in my opinion at least. And we would like to go back to Rachel and Rebecca.
So now we're going to cut downstairs to find out who is your new VP student engagement.
This is very exciting.
To youth opportunities is that the campaign team members, the people that aren't really benefiting from this week, but they're out for every week in rain, helping out with friends, helping out. So honestly, give them one for So, what to do, let's move on. We have 7 candidates. Aldo Miller, Elisa Roberts, Carrie Beatty, Catherine Reed, Helen Fleming, Megan Warwick, and Maya. So, in the round 1, we have 2,664 votes with a quota of 1,332 votes. Ooh. So let's see how round 1 went. Aldo received 1,050 votes. Alicia received 49 votes. Carolina received 333 votes. Catherine received 154 votes. Hera received 225 votes. Megan received 581 votes. Tanea received 193 votes. And Big Old Ron received 59 votes. So with no one receiving or meeting votes in the first round, we say goodbye to Nishan Ron and move on. Round 2, the quota is now 1,307 votes. With the reallocations, Aldo received 1,064 votes. Carolina received 358 votes. Catherine received 165 votes. Heather received 235 votes. Megan received 594 votes. And Snehal received 198 votes. So still, the process of impact, and let's say goodbye to Catherine. Moving on to round 3, the quota of 1,271 votes. Aldo received 1,094 votes. Caroline received 376 votes. Helen received 247 votes. Megan received 615 votes. And Snehal received 210 votes. So again, no one has met the quota yet. It's not over yet. Snehal is eliminated and the votes are reallocated. In round 4, the quota is now 1,211 votes. Aldo received 1,121 votes. Caroline received 398 votes. Heather received 274 votes. And Megan received 629 votes. Again, no one's met the quota, so we say goodbye to Heather and move on to the front. Round 5. Quota is 1,153 votes. Aldo received 1,168 votes. Carrie received 456 votes. Megan received 682 votes. Aldo has met the quota and is duly elected your next student engagement.
So we have just had news that Aldo is your new student engagement VP. Wow.
I'm very surprised. I mean, student engagement had 7 candidates or even 8. There were a lot of people.
Yeah, and we've just had news that he won in the 5th round, which is a very very, very tight election.
There were a lot of strong candidates.
Yeah.
The thing about student engagement, because it is especially for students engagement,
yeah.
The candidates going up for it, there were a lot of recognizable faces. There were a lot of popular
and a lot
people.
of different sports, a lot of different societies going for it. And obviously with this, if you do a sport, your sports team will obviously back you. And so we had a lot of different kinds of people going for it. So really, this was the one I personally couldn't have predicted. I didn't know who was going to get it.
It was very varied because a lot of different points of campus would be pushed to vote and support someone else, and you have
exactly.
But congratulations, Aldo. I'm pretty sure he's going to do a good job.
Yeah, and we're going to have a nice interview with him in a few minutes. But first, we're going to go to Amitesh, who's going to speak to you about a few other things.
Right. A very, very interesting result. Inquire does not deliver this time with them predicting that Megan Warwick will win, but Aldo takes the game and he wins in the 5th round. For those of our viewers who might not know, winning in the 5th round is pretty big. That means that the competition was very strong, I would like to say. The rest of the candidates, of course, Sneha got eliminated in the 3rd round, and Ron, of course, did not make the cut. Aldo winning is a kind of very interesting thing. Of course, he is the face of the Templeman memes page, which, you know, perhaps one could argue that it is his popularity that led him to kind of win this time, as opposed to, for example, other candidates like Megan Warwick, who you know we were just discussing with George, is particularly involved in all student groups and all kind of societies and things like that. Aldo still manages to take the game, which begs the question: is Kent Union, the leadership elections, are they all just a popularity contest? Well, my 2 cents on that is very simple. Aldo is very popular, just like Megan is. So kind of both are incredibly popular faces on campus in very different ways. And I think that's what's kind of important to note, is that 2 popular candidates were strong contenders, and one of the popular candidates won this election. Aldo Manella is your next Vice President of Student Engagement. We have now actually just got Aldo in the studio, and we would now like to take you right back to Rebecca and Rachel, who have got Aldo Manella, your next Student Engagement Vice President, with you. Back to you guys.
Hello, and we have got our new VP Student Engagement, Aldo Manella, with us. Congratulations. How do you feel?
Over the moon. I'm genuinely over the moon. I look forward to representing every single one of you, whether you're society, not society, whatever.
All the students.
Very rightly said, all the students. I look forward to representing every single one of you.
And how did you feel when your name was said over the microphone?
Did you expect this? Did you think you had a chance?
Listen, I don't think I had a chance. I would like to say,
You're Mr. Templeman memes. What do you think you had no chance?
Regardless of Templeman memes, I'm so sorry. But I'd like to say every single person who ran against me, I think every single one of us, we had so much overlapping in our manifestos, our manifestos are
You're
overlapping.
Very excited.
I'm so excited. We had so much overlapping, and I look forward to representing every single one of them on top of all of the students. I'm so happy. Thank you so very much.
And what thing do you think you're going to focus on first when you come into this new role?
First things first, my auxilium
forum.
I look forward to everyone has to collaborate with every single one of the students, regardless of what society they belong to, regardless of what collective they belong to. Everyone has to strive to unite under the Ken banner, and I look forward to representing that Thank you so much.
I've got an important question for
Rachel,
you.
go ahead, please.
Will Templeman Means live on next year as you continue into this role?
Or will
Maybe-
you have a son who's going to take over? Or a
That's-
daughter?
That's a very good question.
Will you have a protege
I have no idea
to
yet.
continue your legacy?
Because you're going to be quite busy in your new
I,
role.
I will
so.
elect a new son, daughter,
God.
variations upon to take over Kent Templeman
Do you
Means.
hear that there'll be
But
more elections?
Even
Coming
more so.
soon.
But regardless, I look forward to representing the university, and I look forward to who takes over from myself. Regardless, but I can't express how happy I am.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
you
so
seem really
for you.
happy.
How are you celebrating tonight? I think you started celebrating already.
You can probably smell it.
Well, thank you so much,
Rachel.
Aldo. We are so happy for you.
Rebecca, R&R. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward
And
to
have
it.
an amazing evening, Aldo. You deserve to celebrate. Well done.
Thank you so much. Rebecca, thank you so much.
Well done.
Oh, you're welcome.
We're now going to
sweetie.
cut to a trailer. We hope you enjoy it. Ready for the KTV Film Festival. Congratulations, Aldo!
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
so much.
Congratulations.
How are you feeling for Hans?
It's over. You know it is.
My dear brave boy Zero, and special guest the Nomad. What a treat.
You take them, I'll deal with him.
Zachary, did you get those files printed?
Well, could you? Sometime today would be good.
Yeah, no, that's no problem.
You've been working here for
2 years, 4 months,
and 8 days. I know.
How does a girl like that end up working in a job like this? Not that I'm complaining, but with that body, she's hardly short of options.
I know it's none of my business, but this is the first company social we've been invited to, maybe even the last. Don't waste it.
Yes, I don't know if you noticed earlier, but I did over 1,000 push-ups.
So we hope you enjoyed the Zero trailer and enjoyed our interview with Aldo, who is clearly very excited to be our new VP Student Engagement. We're now going to cut to Amitesh, who's going to talk you more through the exit polls and what we've just seen.
Right. Thank you so much, Rachel and Rebecca. That was a very, I must say, smashing interview, to say the least. But we have gone through 4 out of the 5, and we saved the best for last, I think, with the presidential candidacy now being kind of dealt upon, and now that's what we're going to look at next. As we did kind of talk about the whole numbers and figures, then of course we have got 3 out of 4 now, so this might be accurate, this might not be. Exit polls, the way they work, are pretty interesting sometimes. Eton, of course, that's what we're predicting. They have 34.7%, followed by Josh at 27.4%, followed by Daniel at 16.3%, followed by Ron, followed by Sarah, and then followed by Arish. That's the trend that we that Inquire Media has predicted, and we at KTV fully acknowledge this amazing work that they do with exit polls. Talking a bit more about student experience before we move on to Rachel and Rebecca again, the kind of results were a bit interesting because, and one has to kind of feel bad for Alicia, who got 49 votes and Ron got 59, which basically does not put her in the best of positions, which is a bit, it's just a bit sad. But that's how these elections work. They are they are based on the student voice, and the student voice clearly prefers Aldo Manella in this. Kind of, as I said before, Catherine Reeve eliminated at the second round, Sneha eliminated in the third, and Heather eliminated at the fourth round. Aldo wins with 1,168 votes. Very interesting trend we saw where, of course, it led to kind of the fifth round of voting. That could, of course, be because of the sheer amount of candidates. And we would now like to go back to Rachel and Rebecca. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Amitesh. So now we've got one last leadership to find out.
The big one, the president. Who will be Kent Union's 2020 president?
It's quite interesting how not all the exit polls have been accurate. So it makes the president election even more exciting because we don't know who's going to win.
You have no idea which way it could sway, because as we saw with student engagement, Inquirer's exit polls said one thing and then the actual result was another.
Which was quite a shock to us because we thought, as in previous years, the exit poll would be accurate.
They're
and
always
it wasn't.
right. As Amitesh says, they're always right.
I think the voting culture this year has been very different, and a lot of students that don't normally vote have actually come out to vote.
I think because, going back a bit to student engagement, because we had such popular candidates, especially Templeman Memes, he has such a big reach, especially to first years. I don't know for you, but in my first year, I didn't vote for the Kent Union elections. I knew that was a thing, but I didn't know what it constituted. I didn't know the people. I didn't know what the Kent Union actually does. So as a first year, I wasn't really engaged. Not just until this year, I actually voted. But I think because of social media and the outreach it has, and now students actually want to be educated.
And I also think that because of the country at the moment and because of how big we've had so much democracy this year and we've all been told to vote
a lot of voting
recently,
happened.
a lot of people have wanted to go out and vote more because they've realised that their voice actually does get heard, and if you vote for something, it does make an actual difference.
Especially since if this year we had so many opportunities to vote, everyone now wants to exercise that right.
Exactly.
Which, you know, it's a really good thing, and I'm happy that students are following on, you know, through it with it, because if you have the possibility, use it.
You should use it, exactly. And also, if you've seen on campus the Kent Union posters saying your voice is not heard, and then underneath it says it is, but you need to go and vote.
Exactly, because ultimately it's up to us
exactly
to get the change in the people that we want. So, you know, that was clearly demonstrated so far through the elections, and now we have the president. It seems tight between Ethan and Josh.
In the exit polls, indeed,
But we had very good contenders, and you know, comparing to last year, more candidates are going up for it.
Yeah, and I think more than anything this year, social media has played such a large role in the election and has made so many more people invested in the whole election process, which makes it even more exciting, more people wanting to know what happens.
It's quite engaging, especially, I mean, Venue has, when you want to go vote in Venue specifically, they were trying to, you know, get you in with those donuts.
Exactly.
But I still voted online. I really wanted a donut.
I deliberately went to Venue just to get the free Krispy Kreme.
Aww.
But it is a way to entice students to want to come and vote. They had Woody's giving you free things, the library giving you free things, and obviously if you entice people to come in and vote, you get more voices heard, and that is the most important thing, that people's voices are indeed heard.
And then there were some candidates who actually utilised social media.
Exactly.
We just said about Aisha, who did a TikTok video, which I think was so cool.
Yeah, and you noticed how Aldo, for example, used his page that he did have such a huge following already to push his vote and to push people to go out there and vote, even just by saying, I don't mind if you don't vote for me.
Yeah,
vote.
He was not narcissistic. He said, vote in whoever you think deserves it, which I think is
most important thing, isn't it?
Exactly, because everyone wants the best out of the Kent Union, because they represent us as students, and that's the president's role. They are the big boss, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think that also a main thing is that people do tend to have a lot of opinions on Kent Union and the way it's run, and I think you're only allowed to have an opinion if you actually do go out there and vote for who's in charge.
Most of the opinions are negative.
Exactly, so if you're going to have an opinion, you should have at least gone out and had a vote and to say who you think would be best to take on the union and to make the changes that they want to make.
Exactly, because if you're complaining, your role is to go read all, all those manifestos and base your decision You know, because there are going to be the people who change and make your negative opinions into positive
Exactly.
ones. So ultimately, stop complaining because it is up to you. You're given a chance. But now this is the last election.
Yeah, and we're going to be now cutting to the VTs of the presidents before we find out who wins in the VP president election.
One more to go.
This is the time we promote a university culture, a sense of togetherness. This is the time union needs a good leader, and I am here to lead it to success.
To ensure communication and information on the part of the university, students have needs that aren't currently being met. Students don't even know that the Kent Union exists to be their voice. So I want to ensure the clarity and accommodate.
My manifesto is one of laying the foundation of what students already deserve but haven't been given. I want to make it so that students feel safe walking off campus, so that mental health is prioritised, so we have a 24/7 gym, and that we have a Medway officer.
Better, increased mental health support, review the student staff pay system to make it fairer.
Hello everyone, we are here for the last result. Last result of the night. Are we ready everyone? Yeah, come on, energy crew. So, next up is the big one, it is Students' Union President. So, this year we have 5 outstanding candidates. They are Chris Hyder, Daniel Simmons, Ethan Batson, Joshua Frost, and Sarah Adama. Okay, so in round 1, we had a total of 2,733 votes, with a quota of 1,366.5 votes for the quota. So let's see how we did in round 1. Irish got 446 votes. Daniel Simmons got 325 votes. Ethan got 476 votes. Josh Frost got 197 votes. And Sarah got 509 votes. And Rory Weasley got 80 votes. So no one has met the quota, no one has met the quota yet. So we've got to say goodbye to Daniel and to Ron. Reallocate their votes. I know, no more food here. I know, it was a dream. Maybe next year, maybe the year after, but, we still believe. And going to round 2, but, well done to Daniel, we'll get that far from that game. Okay, so, quota is 1,276 votes. Let's see how the candidates did. Irish received 481 votes. Ethan received 541 votes. Josh received 108 votes. And Sarah received 552 votes. Again, no one has met the quota. So, Sally, you say goodbye to Irish. The votes are reallocated and we go into round 3 with a quota of 1,147.5 votes. Ethan received 607 votes. Josh received 1,052 votes. And Sarah received 646 votes. Again, the quota still has not been met. So we go into final round 75 to Ethan. So in the final round, we have a quota of 1,038 votes. Let's see how we did. And Josh received 1,290 votes. Sarah received 784 votes, meaning that Joshua Frost
now, Joshua Frost is now our new president. Another meme page has been elected.
I mean, good for him. Congratulations, mate. I mean, the fact that 2 meme pages won.
It just
it's
shows.
Shocking.
Yeah, and we're going to go to Amitesh now, who's going to talk more about this whole election and the way that it's all gone down.
Well, that's a funny turn of events, I must say, especially since you know how 2 meme pages have decided to not only run, but also the student voice has elected 2 meme pages, UKC Kent Bins and Templeman Memes, 2 of the most iconic parts of University of Kent culture, are now going to be in a very, very powerful position at the Kent Union. So that's another kind of deviation from the exit poll that we've had. But I mean, you know what? The exit poll is, after all, an exit poll. It's a sample, and I would once again like to thank Inquire for their amazing work with the exit poll, with the whole election coverage, and with all their help to KTV. You can go check all their live blogs out at www.inquiremedia.co.uk. I would like to kind of bring a bit of attention to the election stats, actually. So the total amounts of vote casted were 14,703. We haven't got exact turnout numbers yet, but already this is a kind of slightly larger, I believe, voting turnout than last time. I guess it kind of goes to show the power of social media. The fact that 2 social media celebrities pretty much on campus have decided to run and win, the election is a very strong message of the involvement of social media in this election. Kind of moving on to a bit of schools here, where the School of Anthropology and Conservation had the highest turnout at 26%, followed by the Medieval and Early Modern Studies, followed by School of History and then School of Arts, Politics following it, followed by Physical Sciences, then the Kent Law School at 18%, then the School of Psychology, and lastly the Centre for Music and Audio Technology in Medway. Now, the 4% is very interesting when talking about the Centre of Music and Audio Technology, because I mean, of course, it is in Medway, so that shows a huge, almost kind of 4 times higher engagement in schools that are in Canterbury, which almost is very interesting as a figure. Is Medway representation still not enough? We look at the year of studies, 18%. Fifth years voted the least, followed by the first years. Followed the fourth years voted a lot, and the second years. And the foundation year people voted the most. I would now like to cut back and go back to Rebecca and Rachel with our new Kent Union President, Joshua Frost. Back to you guys.
So hello again. We have got Joshua with us. How do you feel, Josh?
It's, as probably everyone else has said, it's very overwhelming.
An emotional night.
Yeah, it's just very intense. You just got the boys out there.
Our new Kent Union president, and it's been a very long night, hasn't it? Having all the other candidates elected.
It's been a long election process, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, we've been thinking about this for so long. Oh, sorry, Mum.
No, don't worry.
Yeah, we've been thinking about this so long and just running, and how it's all just come together. It just feels just pretty mad, mental.
Did you expect to win?
No, I mean, because it's been very cold outside, obviously. Because no one's coming up to you and talking, so it's not like we've been going to try and talk to them, but obviously they've got other things they'd like to do. But I don't know, it's weird how it's all just come to place. I didn't expect it at all.
No, but congratulations. You'll be probably an amazing president for Kent Union.
I hope so.
So one thing we saw already was you made a post about the co-op having your favourite chocolate orange at £3. Let's talk a bit more about that. What happened there?
Okay, well, it's £3.73, which is an abysmal price.
It is outrageous.
And 2 hours later, it was £1.50. And I'm like, that is I mean, they've been listening to my heart. I mean, even if I didn't become president, I'd be happy with that one major change, obviously. But
yeah, save you a bit of money with your favourite chocolate.
Oh, yeah, I got it today, actually.
But considering you were able to do that and not even be elected, now as an elected person,
Yeah.
what sort of change do you think you'll be able to come across? Even bigger change?
Oh, definitely. I mean, like the walking orders thing, I'll be on straight away. I mean, I don't think I even needed to be in to like pressure for that. But I mean, that will be, who knows? Like in the next few weeks, maybe we'll have like at least 6 that we'll be able to see. All of it, like the reason I was going is because this is the stuff that we should already have.
Yeah.
And because it's stuff we should already have, it won't be that hard to put in. And that's why I only went through pragmatic things that we could actually do. I didn't want to go in there with like this massive list of stuff I'd like to do and not actually do it.
You tackled it with a realistic approach, which is one of the best approaches, to be pragmatic and know what
I
to do.
noticed that with your manifesto and obviously with the videos that you had put online, a lot of your points were things that were very easy to do and not exactly difficult.
And as you said, things that should already be implemented.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much, Josh. Congratulations on your win. We are so happy for you and we are so excited to see what you do in the next year.
You have
as
a busy
president.
year ahead.
Very busy
Very
year.
excited for it.
Oh, great.
No,
Thank you so much, Josh.
Thank you. We only expect great things from you now.
And back to Amitesh, who's going to give us more of an upload about the different results of tonight.
Thank you so much. And that brings a full circle to our next set of vice presidents and president. As you just saw, Josh Frost got elected as your next Kent Union president. An absolutely amazing set of results this time, with exit polls not predicting the same thing, with 2 meme pages winning in important positions, one of them even being a Kent Union president. It is certainly not a small night in Kent Union leadership elections history. This is a night to remember. We do move on to some more turnouts, and I have some more updates about the presidential elections as well. As we can see over here, there's 36% of a sport team turnout, with the Quidditch Society winning at 100%. So the entire Quidditch Society voted in this year's elections, followed by lacrosse women's at 76%, followed by fencing at 73%, ultimate frisbee at 63%, archery at 60%, and so on and so forth. You can find all of these statistics and more at kentunion.co.uk/studentvoice/elections. Moving on to societies, the top societies, there's a 29% society turnout, with Turkish Society, Kent European Debates, Africa Summit, DJ Society, Spanish Society, New Life Society, Romanian Society, and Fashion and Entertainment, all voting fully, all of their members voting in the Kent Union leadership elections 2020. Very interesting that so many societies have voted, and all of these stats are particularly interesting as students to see as well. Are our student groups well represented in these, and if they are, why? And if they aren't, that's a bigger question to answer. Do societies also have to do something to encourage their members to vote? Because of course this is an important issue, but it also brings the question of, okay, how much can we get students involved, and which societies are more inclined to vote and which aren't. Like for example, I would imagine that the Kent University Conservative Association, because they are a bit more politically inclined, they would vote more, but they're only at 75%, as more cultural societies like the Africa Summit, the Spanish, the Turkish, the Romanian, they are voting way more. That could also be the size of the society, maybe because one society is just simply bigger than the other. It could be that voting turnout is lower because, well, they have more members, and because of that comes more people who might not vote. But that is pretty much how this year's election went. I was talking a bit about the year of study, which is particularly interesting to look at. 18% of foundation year students, that means not even first year, all the foundation year, 18% of them voted, which is the highest in all of the 5 years. With the 5th year students voting only at 2%, which isn't a lot. It is very little, I must say. But this time we have seen that The postgraduate has increased to 16%. It wasn't this high last time, and this time there is clearly an improvement there. Moving on to second years who have voted 17%, which is pretty high as well. I have a feeling that perhaps the foundation year number is so high because there are, of course, more first years than foundation year students and more second years than foundation year students. Perhaps that is what is causing, a greater representation of the foundation year students, the zero year students in general. But just to say that this elections has been a bit of a shock. Well, to me personally, the fact that 2 meme pages have won is something that I will keep on repeating because it is very significant to student culture. I think it says a lot about social media in general. The idea that 2 people got A, famous from social media, and then B, almost use that to their advantage as well. So I think that's an absolutely amazing thing. We know from kind of just talking to Kent Union that they have met Kent Union officials before and they have had chats with them. So it's not that the union never knew about their existence. They always did. Just that this year, I think the kind of higher turnout is one of the reasons is also because of this social media presence. So I would like to now go back to Rebecca and Rachel to talk more, and back to you.
Thank you, Amitesh.
Yeah, this election has been a complete shock to me personally.
I
What
think
about you?
I think it's sensational. I don't know if it's just me actually being more engaged this year, because I don't know how necessarily it must have been to previous elections, but there were just so much more, how should I say, people just were aware of it. I think more students were just conscious about the elections are happening, and the candidates actually were trying to speak to the students. They were up in the main plaza, just near outside venue in the COP, and they were trying to talk to people. They were promoting. There was even the mascot, the bunny there. So I think it was just sensational this year.
I think that the fact that the exit polls got it so wrong just shows the power of social media, because a lot of times people didn't actually know the exit polls were even a thing. I personally didn't know about the exit polls until I saw it on a KTV website. Yeah, and so then I put my results in there. But I know a lot of people didn't actually do the exit polls, which is probably why they were so inaccurate on the actual results. And I think this is the first time that they have been so wrong, which is such a shock.
I think that this year's elections are a bit different to previous years. Not only has, Amitesh has been stressing it incredibly much, how 2 meme pages are now Kent Union officers, which I love the fact, as a students, we love our memes, and now the memes live on in Kent Union.
Exactly. And it's a bit of a shock to me that they won so significantly as well, because I thought that, they would maybe get, I knew they'd get a lot of votes.
Get far, but not
to win is a big thing. They must have had a lot of votes from a lot of different people.
Well, this is the fascinating thing with social media. It reaches even the deepest outskirts, like the extremities, which would be clueless for first years, clueless foundation years.
Exactly.
Not that they want to be clueless about it, but obviously they're just embedded in this new style of life. They're just a university, fresh from from a different life, and they've never been exposed to this. But with the power of Instagram, especially, because this is where their voices were heard most, they were aware of it.
I've got a question for you, Rebecca.
Let's
do
go.
you think if voting was only able, like for when we do a general election in the UK, if you had to go in person and vote, do you think if we didn't have the online voting that the election results would have been different?
100%. 100%. Just because, I know from my own experience, the older you get, you have other stuff going in your life, and just being on campus between specific times. I know that they're trying to entice us. We did discuss earlier that this year they had the donuts. Woody's was giving out free souvenirs and other treats and such. But when, especially from second year onwards, you're just not on campus.
I know.
Not as much as you'd like to be necessarily, and so it's stressful, it's hard, and so the online option is easy for us.
Yeah.
But I think if we only had to go in person, that the results would have been different.
Yeah, definitely, because I think personally I saw on the meme pages a lot, this is the link to vote, go and vote now. Whereas if it was you need to physically walk in person and go and vote, would these Templeman memes and Joshua, UKC Bins memes, would they necessarily have been voted in? They may have been, but this could be a discussion, you know? It could have made such a big difference.
I think it is different. For example, if you have that meme page and they
Yeah.
have the link directly, not just the meme pages, but all the other candidates that use social media, it's easy just to click from them and say, oh, they're the person who, you know, said it.
Yeah.
Who said I should vote. They're the last face I've seen. Oh, I'll just vote for them because it seems like they want it.
I do also think that when you vote, I don't know if you all know how the voting system works, you go up onto the screen and you get a photograph of the candidate. I wonder if actually seeing the face of the candidate with the name, if that makes a difference as well, because a lot of times people probably vote based off of a face that they recognise and, oh, I've seen her on the plaza a lot, I'll give her my vote. So that could also have made such a big difference in the selection as well.
It's interesting how we link something that is recognisable to trust.
Yeah.
We trust what we see, and the more you see of that thing, the more likely we're going to trust it.
Exactly.
If maybe it was just simply a name, you know, just a name to a manifesto, no a picture to it, then again, the results could have probably been different. But ultimately, I actually enjoyed the election experience this year. I don't know, not only did I get involved, and I think a lot of students have got involved as well, but just there were a lot of candidates going up. It was just you just didn't know who would win. It was not predictable.
Totally unpredictable. I personally had no idea what was going to happen. But we're going to go back to Amitesh now, who's going to give us some more opinions on the election results.
Right, thank you so much, Rebecca and Rachel. So we have wrapped up the Kent Union leadership elections. Just for our viewers who have just tuned in, just to remind you of who the winners are. Welfare and Community, Aisha has taken the win. Postgraduate Experience, Patrick Stillman is your next VP Postgraduate. Student Experience, Aldo Manella has won, followed by Academic Experience. Vicky has remained in her position for the second year, and your next Kent Union president is Josh Frost. 5 new faces, actually 4 new faces and 1 old face, but nevertheless with new ideas and with new opinions. We are currently waiting for a group interview with all 5 of the new winners, who are shortly going to be joining us at KTV. So make sure that you stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Don't leave your seats. Or wherever you're watching this. You might be watching this on your phone. You might be watching this on your laptop. It doesn't matter. We have 4 new faces and 1 old one. All of them working to create the best possible student experience for all of us here at the University of Kent. It's very interesting how there are 4 new faces and only 1 kind of old one, especially since you will have, well, the president who's well, of course, you know, the kind of overseer of all of these kind of departments, even though they're a team. I think it'll be interesting to see how the president, who is new to this role, will work with, say, Academic Experience, which is, you know, of course, Vicky has been in this role, so perhaps, you know, obviously she has more experience with this. And I wonder whether Josh will, you know, have influence on that, or will he take Vicky charge? You know, in the same way with the other ones will bring a kind of new direction, a kind of new, fresh approach to the role. You know, something that we're kind of expecting with this, you know, with all of these kind of roles. In general, I think that I think that we're kind of, you know, we've seen a reshuffle. We've seen a very important one at that. You know, the kind of introduction of 4 new faces is something that's particularly refreshing for students as well, especially since the precedent and the student experience candidates were so involved with student life to begin with. We knew who they were already. Perhaps that's what led to both of their wins. And you know, just the kind of general conversation that has been going on, even from Rebecca and Rachel's side, is that, you know, the engagement of students is through social media, and that definitely had to play a part in how these elections turned out. Even with welfare, the use of kind of other media, the social media in the form of TikTok, that's particularly you know, useful to consider as well when you try to analyze these results. Postgraduate experience, of course, the use of gimmicks, things like postgrad Pat, has always been something that we've seen, and the fact that now, you know, he has been elected into the role, but is a great thing. Unfortunately, we don't have him here. We would now like to go back to Rebecca and Rachel.
So now we're going to give a few more extra opinions on what has just happened. I am still in shock personally. What about you?
I know we've been speaking a lot about the winners, and congratulations to them, but also congratulations to all the other candidates that
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming down today. And congratulations to your new leadership team. Before you leave, make sure to get stamped to get free entry to NXT. Woo!
So there we had all the winners on stage celebrating. They all look so happy, don't they?
I mean, it's been a very long election. It's been a long candidate processes with the debates and stress and personal feelings and nervousness. And now they finally can relax. All of them.
And campaigning through Storm Dennis, you cannot forget that. They've been on the plaza in the rain or shine out there, trying to get your votes.
I mean, super troopers, they really were dedicated.
Exactly.
Candidates.
They really, really did want to get your votes. And you can see it, just the joy in their faces now that they finally they've got it, they're done.
I'm just happy that they all seem to be friendly with each other. There has been no, how should I say, talking smack between them. It's all been very friendly.
Yeah.
And if anything, they've grown together through this experience, which is it's a beautiful thing.
And as much as we'd like to congratulate the winners, we would also like to congratulate all of the runners-up who did amazingly. But now we're going to go back to Amitesh, who's going to give you a few more opinions and analysis.
Right, thank you so much. We're just waiting for the 5 new candidates to come in and give their group interview to us exclusively at KTV. Of course, you can check out more in-depth analysis from Inquire's side. Their website, www.inquiremedia.co.uk. They have an elections page where you can track all of the elections updates and find out more about the results and about how it all went down, in case you missed something. Talking back about the exit polls were a good indicator in some senses, with welfare and community, postgraduate experience and academic experience, you know, being right. You know, all of these 3 roles were particularly contested. You know, we did see positive, kind of accurate results for this. However, student experience and precedent were a bit dodgy, and the fact that you know they weren't right kind of makes the whole situation a bit more interesting. You know, why were they not right, or you know, what was particularly, you know, what led to the incorrect prediction? Well, one could argue that the kind of student experience, perhaps because of the number of candidates, there was a kind of general sense of, you know, there's always a bit of a problem regarding the more amount of candidates, the more problem there is. So, you know, of course, the fact that there were 7 candidates almost added to the numbers, and numbers are easily manipulated. Similar with precedent, I would think. Well, you know, after student engagement, the next one most contested role was precedent. And interestingly, like even you can see over here, Sarah over here got 6.6%, but that is not how the actual one turned out, because you know, she was eliminated in the second to last round, which is pretty impressive for a first year. One could argue that this was because of her kind of main kind of strong presence in the Kent Union presidential debates. So I think I think that was particularly one of the reasons for her kind of very you know, popular vote over here. Ethan of course got eliminated early, but Josh ended up winning, and that's kind of one of the most one of the most shocking yet one of the most exciting results. We have just got our entire new sabbatical officers team, and we are now going to join them live at KTV. Back to you, Rebecca.
Well, welcome back. And now we're joined by our fellow winners, our fellow officers.
Congratulations, everybody. As you can see, Patrick is not here, but the rest of them are here. Congratulations. How do you feel? First going to you, Mr. President of Kent Union.
I'm very, very excited. I can't wait to do what... Oh, thanks. I'm just excited to do what the people wanted me to do. I mean, I'll only be happy if I actually finish it. But yeah, I'm just excited. All of my friends are soon to be. But yeah, just excited.
And Aisha, how do you feel being elected into your new position?
I actually am still so surprised. But yeah, it's been amazing seeing everybody campaign outside, and we really just created loads of friendships outside on the plaza. So it's amazing to see so many people that I've seen and bonded with outside. So it's actually incredible.
Oh, amazing.
What about you guys?
Well, personally, I think overwhelming is an understatement. Like, I'm genuinely, I look forward to representing every single one of you guys. I look forward to the whole year ahead of me. But regardless, I will pass this on to Vicky because I'm a liability right now.
Let's hope it's just tonight. No, I'm genuinely really excited. So excited to be working with you three guys, and obviously Pat as well. Feel a little bit daunting that I'm the only one who's returning, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it.
I mean, I know you're the president, but because you just been re-elected, you have the experience, and we just said about how you feel that the people before, they helped you out, and now that you feel like you're going to be the mum of the group, will there be any knocking heads between you two?
I hope not. I mean, I don't have an ego, and I don't think you have that much of an ego either, but we'll find out. I don't really know.
We'll find out very soon.
Yeah, I should be fine.
Following your example.
Absolutely not.
Do you feel a bit more confident that you're, you know, someone in your officer family has experience? Ooh, here you go.
Oh, to me. Well,
Mr. President.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's good that one of us knows what we're doing. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we know what we want to do, and she knows what she's been doing it for a few. Is it a few years?
1 year.
1 year.
A few
months. Yeah,
a few months. You were close by.
Yeah, close. But yeah, I mean, I think with this kind of role, obviously we know we've seen the role description. We've seen what kind of stuff we've got in line for us. So I think it's one of those things where you can't really prepare for it. Let's say.
I mean, you prepared enough. You wanted to tackle the role. You embarked it. You have an expectation of it. You prepared for it. You've got it now, and now it's just a matter of doing it.
And also, we've got a nice mix of male and female this year, because actually last year, correct me if I'm wrong, it was all females, wasn't it?
Female.
So now you've got a mixed gender team. How does that make you feel? It's going to be a bit of a different dynamic, probably.
Thank you.
It probably is going to be a bit of a different dynamic. I guess obviously I can't really speak about any other experience because I've only had the all-female that sounds weird. All-female officer team. But yeah, so like last year we've been really supportive of each other, and you're sort of all sort of in the same boat, I guess. But this year's going to be really interesting. Obviously, we all come from very different backgrounds and we've got very different experiences. So I think it's going to be fun to get to know each other and also to try and see where that goes.
Because you have all these different backgrounds, So it'll be different dynamics compared to what was last year. Are you guys excited about that?
I think personally, regardless of the fact that we have previous as well as novices coming into the stage as well, I think Kent Union couldn't be greater to have a dynamic sense of people. I think we look forward to representing every single one of you, regardless of whether you're returning students, whether you're new students.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to look forward to it. You're always welcome to come forward to us. So yeah, I look forward to it.
Also, what I've noticed is there's a very mixed dynamic of representation here. Like, Aisha, I know, for example, you're involved in dance and cheer. I know you do a lot of photography. Vicky, I'm not too sure what you're involved with, but I'm sure you're involved. Academic societies, of course. And Patrick Stillman, correct me if I'm wrong, fencing. So we've got a very big mix of representation here. How does that make you feel as president?
Well, obviously, I mean, we're trying to tick as many boxes as we can. I mean, I said in my interview that I believe definitely in the delegate model. Like I'm only here to do what the people say to do. I'm not coming with an ego yet, but I mean it comes with. I mean, why else would someone be here if they weren't here to fulfill what other people tell them to do? And if a lot of us have different viewpoints, then it couldn't be better, could it?
Also, because we've been stressing out a lot, and Amitesh has been saying this all throughout this video, but you two have social media, you have a social media presence, you have your meme pages. Are you going to use them now during your candidature? You have a lot to say, I see.
Regardless of whether any limitations are put on it, yes or no, I look forward to representing the whole of the university, regardless whether I've been somewhat controversial in the past, whether I've been representing you guys now. I don't care if I have to accommodate to any requirements or needs or absolutely anything. I look forward to making sure that I am a familiar face. If you have absolutely anything to come forward to, I'm your person. I like to think I am, at least. But regardless, whether you're taking pictures of bins, whether you're making memes, you can come forward to either two of us, either four of us.
Five.
Patrick, where are you? Regardless, I look forward to just representing you guys. It's never a question of whether you feel uncomfortable. You can just drop me a message. I'm sure you can drop any five of us a message as well. And regardless, I'll just drop it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And we're going back to Amitesh.
Right, that was the 5 new sabbatical officers for Kent Union 2020 to 2021. I would like to thank Kent Union for allowing KTV to once more cover the Kent Union leadership elections. It has been a wild ride. I can tell you, I was one of the people who was involved in this, but of course I did not do it all alone. I would like to begin by thanking Inquire for all of their support in this, particularly Bill Bowkett, George Knight, Jeanne and Alejandro. All 4 of them. I cannot forget Josh West, website opinion editor, who came in and gave us an insight into all the exit poll results. I would also like to mention KTV and all of the help I've got from the executive team. I would also like to particularly thank Eddie Thomas, Gemma Hartnett, Zoe Langhorn, Louis Carter, Aditi Deepak, Prina Dodia, Rachel Helen, Rebecca Cook, and everybody else who helped us get this event into gear. Last but not the least, I would like to thank Kent Union staff, James Vesti. I would like to thank Jonathan. I would like to thank Connor for all of their help with organizing these Kent Union leadership elections live streams. 5 live streams, 5 times KTB went live. Be sure to check out our new website, www.kenttelevision.com. Check out Inquire's website at inquiremedia.co.uk for more in-depth analysis in the future. I have been Amitesh Das, Head of News for KTV, signing off. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.